if you know this, but I'm going on Survivor. So by the time you see this, I will either be out of the game, or I'll be starving on an island somewhere. Either way, I hope you send me good wishes. I really wish I could be there. I really am thankful that you guys are supporting the show. I want to say hi to all the actors. I love all you guys. I hope to see you on the flip side. And yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but this is what I have to do to get a vacation these days. Yeah, duty calls. So anyway, I hope it's a great event. And yeah, love to everybody. Bye.
Thank you for clapping me onto the chair. Thank you so much for clapping me onto the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul W. Downs. Thank you. Some of you may know me as Jimmy Lusac Jr. on Hacks. Thank you. Wow. Here we are, guys. The White Lotus. In the 4 years the White Lotus has been on the air, it has spanned 3 continents and 4 HBO names. Pretty remarkable stuff. Pretty remarkable stuff. But I am really happy to be back, honestly. It was something that for me was such an escape, and it was something that was an event. I was so excited to watch every week because everyone was talking about it. I feel like today we can all use an escape. And to that point, I want to thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate the artistry of this show, especially in light of all of the things that are happening in our City of Angels. So thank you for being here tonight. But let's get the party started, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our panelists. First up, playing Kate, Leslie Bibb. Playing Jacqueline, Michelle Moynihan. And then we have Lori, Miss Carrie Coon. It is a long walk. Okay, she can run, she can walk. Okay. Then we have Timothy, the one, the only Jason Isaacs. Who would Timothy be without Victoria? The one and only Parker Posey. We all know him as Lockie. It's Sam Nivola. And finally, Piper, Sarah Catherine Cook. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. It's very nice to be here with all of you. I meant when I said it was such an escape to watch you every week, and it's such an amazing show. And the amount of character work that happens on this show is staggering to me. I'm like, first of all, it's an hour long. How you do it? But I wanted to start by asking you all, because since Mike can't be here tonight, for any of you, what was the most surprising or the most memorable piece of direction you got from Mike?
I got one. When I was doing one of the scenes on the loungers by the pool, I was still looking for it, and Mike said, I don't know if you realize this, but your voice is, you're in your upper register. My voice wasn't in my body. So astute. He was absolutely right. I was really disconnected from my breath. And it was so simple, and he just kind of threw it over his shoulder and ran away. And then, that might echo.
Wow.
What is happening? Is this a dream?
By the way, it's your twin.
Top that, you guys.
That was good.
No, I think when Mike, don't you guys, he would always be, I think one thing as an actor, which doesn't, I don't know if we can always, you always feel this way, but you know with Mike, you will always give your best performance. He truly will not move on unless he has it. And he has his editor on set editing in real time. So sometimes you'll go home and they'll be like, wait, there's some angle we didn't get or something, and you'll go back and he gets it. So you always feel like he has your back, and you will always be your most real, because that's what he wants. He just wants it so real, and he loves the edges, and you just put down your guard with him. But you always feel, I don't know, did you guys feel that way?
Yeah, I did. I think one of the, in one of my initial conversations with Mike, he shared with me, he said, when I'm direct you, he's like, I'm gonna just treat you like an instrument. I'm gonna push you really, really far in one direction. And then on the next take, I'm gonna tell you the exact opposite. And that was really nice, because he said, I really just want to find your range. I just want to see what you're capable of. And that was very comforting to me as a director, letting your actor know, because oftentimes actors, we can be in our heads, of course, and you can start to question if they say do something opposite, you're like, oh God, that was totally wrong. But he's like a maestro like that. And he said, I felt like, I was like, so are all your instruments? And he said, exactly. So.
I love that.
He's an actor. You know? He was in this movie called Chuck and Buck in the 90s. So, it was really fun to work with an actor and a writer, because then you bring the character to him, and then he takes on the character and shows you back to you who you are and what you're doing, and kind of took that on. So it was a very symbiotic relationship. It was really fun.
Yeah, and there's some sense that we all had that he could play all of our parts better than we could, which was quite disconcerting sometimes. He'd come out and go, he was always incredibly kind when he said cut. He'd also do this thing of, you knew you'd scored if you'd shriek demonically from behind the monitor.
Like that.
And then he'd shout something out while the scene was going. The scene's still rolling, and you'd have to incorporate it into the scene. But when he said cut, he always came out and he'd start with compliments. He'd go, awesome, it's great, fantastic, really neat, really neat. And then he'd walk around in the circle playing all the parts himself. And you'd watch and think, what is he doing with my part? And then he'd come over and go, actually, he wouldn't come over, he'd do that thing like Columbo. He'd go, let's go again. And then he'd walk away, and just over his shoulder he'd go, I don't know, if we're going again, do you think there's any world where, I don't know, this is probably a terrible idea, I don't know. And then he'd give you just pearls, absolute gold. And you were an idiot if you didn't, well, not just pay attention, but do it exactly how he did it, with his line reading, because he could play all of our parts, which he did when he wrote it.
And it was never offensive when he gave us a line read.
I love a line read. As an actor, I love it. I'm like, thank you. What do you want?
From a fellow actor, right?
Yeah.
Because his tone is so very specific, and we're all here to just honor his material. So there were a couple of times where I'm like, just say it. Just like, how do you want it? And then you would have immediate insight into what his intent was.
By the way, there's a strange paradox in this. He also would let you go off-piste. If you suddenly, whatever you felt you could follow, it didn't feel it was restrictive. If you felt like going off in some other direction, saying some other things, he was never precious about his writing. He was wearing a director's hat on set as well.
Yeah, you can feel that when you watch the show, that you're following the fun, that you're really in it and you're following the fun. It feels so alive. It doesn't feel, it's very clear that he does that. Okay, so Leslie, Michelle, and Carrie, your friendship, long time, not old.
Long time.
It felt so, there was so much history from the first scene. And so I'm curious what the three of you did to develop that bond, or was it just that you did, that you acted good,
I don't know. I think there's chemistry just either happens. I think we all started a text thread very early on so that we all got on the same page about where we were from. We shared all of our childhood photos, like we were sharing
What
photos.
immunizations we were getting?
Yes, exactly. That actually was. There was a big conversation about dengue fever and whether or not we were going to get the shot for that. Harry and I got it, yeah. But we started there, and we were the first ones to shoot. We shot the first week. I mean, We met in person 3 days before we started filming.
Wow.
And I don't know, we have a very similar work ethic.
You lived in that villa together as well, didn't you? You guys were living in the...
Yeah, I mean, well, Carrie and I lived together. Michelle and Parker lived together. But I don't know, we just have a similar work ethic. And I think that, I don't know, I always felt very held with these two. And I admire both of them so much. And I knew I was always going to be safe with them. And I don't know, it just let you kick the tires. And you knew that if you tossed a ball to them, that they would catch it and toss it back. There was always a yes and not like a stop. And so...
And we had deeply relevant material that we could all relate to and commiserate over. And so those 3 days that we were able to really connect, and we connected over water aerobics. Leslie is an outstanding water aerobics
Very good
instructor.
It's true, we did.
You know, we did. It was not glamorous at all. We were in rash vests and swim caps and the whole thing.
They even got my girlfriend involved. Everyone was doing
Yeah.
it.
I don't have any friends, so it was really good practice for me.
Art imitating life.
I think that's good. I think that's good as an actor. You got to focus on the craft, you know?
It was a real stretch, honestly.
Yeah. So, Jason, a lot of I think one of the hardest things to do as an actor is to work with scenes that don't have dialogue. And so much of your character work was internal. So I just wanted to ask you about your approach and, you know, how you made that so dynamic and so watchable, because so much of it was without dialogue.
Thank you for saying it. I don't know. It was a big worry of mine going in. It's one of the things I spoke to Mike about originally. I went, this guy's just he might just sit there in the corner and look like an extra from Cheech and Chong, you know. I'm chugging these pills, and I know what's going to be going on inside my head. I'll think it all and I'll feel it all, but I just don't know if the audience is going to get any of it. And he went, don't worry about it. It'll be fine, and if it isn't fine, I'll cut away from you. So I was worried about that, but actually I was more worried. That was a fear, but it was quite exciting as a challenge as an actor. I like words, and so to not have any and to be so disconnected, that was a scary thing. I'm not connected with other people. I'm not really listening to my wife or my children when they speak or anyone. Acting is about connection. I was more worried about the very melodramatic things coming at him, which you guys all just saw tonight, thinking this show has such magnificent actors in it doing such great performances. I don't want to be the guy that looks like he's doing horrible Amdram, you know, at the corner rep. And I just had such huge scenes to pull off. I was more nervous about that than the not speaking. The not speaking, actually what was difficult was technically because I'd walk through a door in February and we'd come out the other side in July, and I needed to know how many pills I'd taken,
Wow.
whether I was articulate that day or whether I couldn't stand up and stuff.
That script supervisor
Yeah,
must have been on it. You know what I mean?
Connie, lovely Connie.
Wow.
Exactly right, yeah.
Intense. Okay. Ms. Parker Posey. Give it up, yes. Ms. Parker Posey has been an indie queen and working consistently for a long time, but I'm very interested in what it feels like now to be doing something like The White Lotus. I mean, you know, you have a whole new army of gay fans. What will you do with them? You know, will you run for office? Will you storm the Capitol? What will you do?
Please run for office.
I was in Provincetown 2 weeks ago, and there was a Parker Posey pajama party. And I happened to be in Memphis a week before, seeing my aunt, went to an estate sale, found a Halston, robe from the 70s with a light blue pajama bottom, gown. It was a benefit for Sandy Hook. Anyway, that's what I'm doing with the gays. Pajama parties and theater. Yeah, what was your question?
Well, here's a question. I do want to know, because I think one of the great things about The White Lotus, and all of Mike's work actually, is the balance between the dramatic moments and the comedic ones. And so, did you and Mike have discussions about how to interweave the more comic moments and the more dramatic ones?
No. This is what a great writer does. They write the material, and then you're like a detective, and you go in and you you know, it's like they have the tree and the leaves, and you have more branches and more blossoms here and there and wherever. I was so excited to play a woman from the South and to bring this like Tennessee Williams, this drama, you know, to a character, because I think it's so inherently funny when people are dramatic and when they take the stage over like, and we all watch Southern Charm, and woo! And so that, you know, that essence of theatricality was just, we had a ball. And that was just great. I don't think I answered your question, but.
No, you did. You did. But I'm going to move on.
Thank you, you can.
Sam.
Yeah.
For much of the season, your character is really being pulled in opposite directions and trying to discover who he is. I'm wondering who you think he did become, what you think happens to your character. Yours was one that I was like, what is going to happen when you leave the White Lotus? Are you going to go to Duke or UNC? And I have to tell you, I am a Blue Devil myself. So I am.
know that.
Yes.
Shit.
Now everyone knows. I kept it under wraps. I have never divulged that. I don't like to talk about school, you know?
None of us did.
But anyway, what do you think? What do you think his life beyond the White Lotus looks like?
That's a great question. I mean, everything goes back to Mike, as it should. I remember having a conversation with him early on where I was like, you know, we obviously people like to follow patterns. That's an easy way of understanding things. And often when I act in things, I like to ask the director, like, you know, what's the sort of formula here? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? What's the, like, not the gimmick, but like, what's the thing? Like, how are you arcing this story, and where is it gonna end up? You know, and I was like, is the whole thing that, like, you know, you come to this hotel and you're never the same person as before, you know what I mean? Like, that seemed like kind of what it was. I was like, it's a thing that changes you, right? And he was like, no, like, you know, it's a show about people. The White Lotus is not some, like, monolithic thing that has the same effect on everyone. Realistically, people are people, and they react differently to different things. And he was like, your character does not change. Like, you know, he is just as lost, if not more lost, than he was when he came to this fucking situation. Clearly.
He's developed a new skill, let's be clear.
Yeah. He has
And he's
developed
going to need to do
skill.
some work, you know, for money, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess, what was Christmas like the next year, you know?
Yeah, it was a little weird.
I don't have a brother, so I don't know, you know?
Luckily, I don't either. No, but yeah, he was just like, he was really smart about that, and that was a really interesting thing for me to hear, also just as someone who loves, like, movies and TV, of, like, it's not always as simple as my 21-year-old brain being like, what's the thing? How do you know, like, every character is different, and that's how it should be, and that's what good writing is.
You're here. Sarah Catherine, I think that your story in this season is so complex, and sometimes some of the most tragic. It's one of the more tragic stories. And so I'm wondering, in terms of how you approach the character, were you surprised by the turn, you know, of her not being able to escape her privilege? And if so, how did you have sympathy for that character?
It's a great question. Yeah, I was very surprised and also horrified for myself going to have to do a scene where I'm crying about air conditioning and organic food. And I was like, okay, how do I relate to this girl? Turns out White Lotus has ruined me, and I really love air conditioning and fancy resorts now. I knew this was gonna ruin me. I agree. Like, the whole time, she to me kind of represents mental health in the show, and like, you really see that for her. And I think honestly with the twist, like what is so different about it from maybe another character is like she has so much shame in it. And it isn't just like she's like all of a sudden like I'm a princess. She's like, I can't believe I was so unaware of this person in me and that I am more like my family than I realized. So yeah, she had an enlightenment for sure, just not the one she was looking for. But yeah, it's very complex, and I really love her, and I feel so happy that I got to play her, honestly.
Yeah. Well, Mama knew.
Mama knew
Mama
the
knew.
whole time.
Mama knows.
And Mama didn't judge her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
you
a
can't.
very.
How much can you break your mold?
Right.
You know, the mold that of your family, of your ancestors, and she's like, it's not gonna happen.
No, baby girl.
No, baby girl. Precious angel.
She's a sweet girl.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. So I have a very practical question. When you all read the scripts, did you get all of the scripts, or were you reading them one at a time? How did that process work?
Yeah, we did. We've got all the scripts. It's funny, so many people thought we didn't, or that would be kept from us. But no, we all knew what was happening. I forgot who died.
Oh, you did? Yeah, well.
I mean, I knew it was me.
Yeah, it wasn't you. Yeah.
Well, what happened, they gave us all 8, but then they printed off just our scenes. So you did, like, I forgot so much of what the ladies did, honestly. It was such a treat to see it on screen. Like, because it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Like, I forgot so much. That
You didn't forget that who died.
No, I'm not an idiot. Come on. I'm kidding, I love you.
I had dinner with Walt and Amy, and I said, I can't remember who died. And they went, we fucking do. And I went,
You do, you get all the scripts, but you do sign on before you get all the scripts.
Yeah,
You,
Okay.
yeah.
you audition,
Yeah.
and then they're like, you got it, and then you're like, yes! And then you read all 8, or for us, there were 8, and you're like, oh my God, this is what's happening. And so that's interesting to sign on to something really before you know all the intricate twists and turns. But I mean, that's the beauty of Mike White. Like, I think we'd all go anywhere to just read the phone book
Definitely.
if it were written by Mike White and to be directed by him. He's an incredible, special human being, and I think we're all changed for the better because of our experience with him, I think.
And he's on Survivor.
vote for him.
Yeah.
Or else you won't get any more White Lotus. So yeah, vote for him.
Speaking of which, when you heard that you got the role, had you all seen the previous seasons, and were you like, did you understand what this would do? And what has it done? What has it done to your life now that you've experienced the White Lotus, the cultural phenomenon that is the White Lotus?
I have complicated feelings about wearing my purple sweatsuit to the grocery store. It's sort of a terrible purple sweatsuit. My son started drawing me in it. I think I'm wearing it too much. Because now when I go to the grocery store, people be like, great job last night. And I was like, oh no. Because that's not happened to me before. I think it's gonna, it peaks when the show is on, then it kind of goes down. For me, maybe not for, Parker or whatever. But it definitely, so now I really have to think about what I'm wearing and what I'm saying in public. For a while.
Isn't that hard?
Yeah, it's
Having
weird.
to think about what you're saying.
Because the thing is, you're gossiping at a table for a half an hour in a restaurant, and after the half an hour, someone's like, I loved you on the White Lotus. You just listened to everything I said. And you didn't tell me till it was over. That is so mean. So that's, I don't know.
I don't think anybody knew how big it was. The others were successful, but something very unusual happened with this show.
Marketing.
It became all the Happy Meals.
They're selling everything.
But all over the world, every country went completely batshit for it. And I don't think anybody could have expected that.
But can I ask you, do you think, I think it's an interesting question, but there is something about an insatiable appetite that people have for the show, and I don't think any of us knew what that was like. Because it's so beloved. But there's something about the fact that it comes out once a week, I think, and people have to wait for it. And Mike really writes for the audience and is like, I'm gonna do big themes. We're gonna talk about spirituality, and I'm gonna make it funky and messy and the edges, and they're going to be able to handle it. The audience can handle it. And he writes, I think, for the audience. And I think they love it. And I think people come up to you in the street, and they weren't like, tell me who died. I mean, some people were like, tell me who dies. But they had theories, and they thought about it. And they would have theories about, and they would tell, not just about us, but they would talk about Parker or Jason or the kids, or the monkeys did it, or this or that. And they had like all of these thoughts. And it was really something to behold somebody's love of this Sunday night event that they really cherished and enjoyed and like ate up, and that's fucking cool to be a part of.
So true. So true. Yeah, and it's cool to be a part of that for the audience. I mean, for those of us watching it, it's so cool to have that, to have something that...
It's a rare thing that used to happen when I was a kid. I mean, you remember Who Shot JR, but it hasn't happened for like 40 years. That people, this fictitious water cooler conversation that people didn't really have, actually people had watch parties and they talked about it all week, and you go to cafes, people were discussing it. So I don't know what it was like for us. It's unusual for me anyway. I think, like Carrie, it will go away soon. But what it's been like for the people watching it has been amazing, because we're a pretty divided society in so many ways, and this gave people such a sense of community, which is
I don't know what you're
magical for
talking
us.
about.
Also, I want to add, this is such a rare phenomenon, just the fact that, like, this is one of those only shows or films or whatever that brings, like, all generations together. Like, if you think about it, like, most, you know, I have, like, 12-year-olds coming up to me, and then, like, 80-year-olds. It's like...
I'm sorry, you had 8-year-olds watching this show with you.
Yeah,
Are you in
actually-
charge of children? You let them watch this?
No, but seriously, I mean, it's like all ages, and that's actually super uncommon. I think. Like,
What kind of questions were the 8-year-olds asking you about this show, I'm wondering?
they just like love you. I don't know. I'm asking questions.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool that there's a sense of community. I mean, has anyone visited the Reddit? I should have printed out some of the Reddit theories and questions and things. No, that's good. I actually also don't always dive deep into the fandom.
Isn't that dangerous?
Not everybody's
I think
watched
it can
it, you
be.
know. I think there might be 2 people who have. Have you seen it yet, Liz? So Leslie and Parker haven't
Oh,
seen
you
it.
haven't seen it?
You should
It's
definitely go on
good.
Reddit.
It's good, right?
Definitely check
They
that
should
out.
see it. It's very good. Yeah.
Not like it's not. We're not playing hard to get. It's like it's not like that. It's just it's such a special experience,
Yeah.
and it's for me. It's like I don't
You're
know.
barely in it anymore, I'm just telling you. Sorry. You're mostly cut.
There goes the contrarian. There comes. No, I just think it was a special experience, and I just don't want to I just want to hold it sort of here a little bit longer. I watch it. But
You'll enjoy it when you do.
I know, but it's fun to watch it, to see, sort of witness it through other people's perspective has been really fun, and their joy, or their sorrow, or it's just the way Mike just knows how to hit every part of, and just dive through everybody's feelings, and that our storyline is so different than the family storyline, and then Sammy and Walton's storyline, and it's just how he takes all these different
Demographics.
and then pulls them
Weaves
together.
them. Yeah,
right?
weaves them all together. Yeah, it makes everybody feel something and surprises everyone along the ride. You know, he's just a master at creating this roller coaster of emotion and just sort of slowly bringing everybody in. And even though we were in the series, I think we were watching it as fans as well. You know, we love the show just as much as everyone else. And so watching him build it from episode 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then all of a sudden 5 just goes bananas, you know, for everyone. It was just, you could feel that literal excitement from everyone, all the fans, and that sense of community has been so special. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I have never witnessed something so immersive and so sort of life-altering and changing and so exciting for everybody to kind of watch alongside with. And it's just been...
And entertaining.
Yeah.
So entertaining. I loved TV as a kid and being entertained and imitating people on TV like Charlie's Angels and, you know, the joy in people enjoying performances that actors can create these characters and they become a vernacular in people's homes and these archetypes in this mythology for everyone to enjoy, to dress like them. Like my cousin Maggie was like, oh, let me show you videos of our White Lotus party. And like they make Thai food and wear caftans and hold drinks and they're just like and making these videos. It was like, that is fun. Like more of that,
Tons of
please.
prescription drugs.
Yeah, they have their pills. They're like making these videos. Like it's so fun. Like please, more of that.
You know, the sales of Thai food went up across the whole world when the show was on.
Okay, that is wild.
And also, sales of lorazepam went up. I swear to God.
It's true. I'll tell you how it's changed my life is every time I get Thai food, free mango sticky rice. And
Stop
fucking
it!
rocks. It's awesome.
Really?
My parents still haven't mentioned it. I think they watched it, but they haven't said anything.
It is weird that there's people who are watching it now come up going, don't tell me I'm on episode 2, and I go, where have you been? How is that possible?
I know. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have, guys.
Thanks, guys.
But thank you so much. No, we have
Enjoy the second panel.
Give it up for these performances. Enjoy actors. Thank you.